I truly believe that what people allow in directly affects their actions. If I were to have a meeting with my company and I sit with them on a Tuesday morning and say, "Hey guys, gosh, it's a really bad year. Sales are down." What is that going to do to the morale? Versus, "Hey guys, I'm watching the numbers. We're seeing more purchase agreements come in. We're watching the showings uptick. The market's about to take off. It's warming up. I want you there for it." I think that what you allow greatly impacts everything, your psyche, your actions, all of it, your perspective on what it is. As a man thinks, so he is.
Welcome back to the Agents Who Crush It in Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Favaza, and today I'm excited to introduce Baton Rouge real estate powerhouse, Brittney Pino. Starting her career at 20, Brittney has spent 22 years transforming her passion into success. From her award-winning days as a top REMAX agent, leading the #1 REMAX team in Louisiana in 2018, to selling over 100 homes a year as a solo agent with a 7-figure GCI. She's truly done it all. In 2020, during the pandemic, Brittney launched her own boutique luxury brokerage, PINO Associates, in Baton Rouge. Today, she excels both as an agent and as a partner to like-minded realtors, delivering elite client experiences and exceptional marketing results. With her firm ranked as the #4 independent real estate firm in Baton Rouge in 2024 and boasting a 74% year-over-year growth, it's no surprise that she's been named Baton Rouge Real Producers Broker of the Year in 2023 and in 2024. Brittney is a fierce, focused, and committed to excellence, and I know you're going to also love her accent as much as I do. So, join us as we deep dive into her inspiring story, uncover her secrets to success, and explore how she has crushed it in real estate. So, without further ado, Brittney, welcome to the podcast today, my friend.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for having me.
I love having you guys in the background because you can just sit there and cringe while I talk about you. But I honestly don't have this many stats to go through usually, and that was a mouthful. You've done a lot of amazing things.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So take us back. You were 20 years old. What was your thought process? Why were you getting into this business at 20? What was pushing you into it and why?
Yeah. So, I really felt like there were a lot of things that I wanted to do, with my future. I was in college. I'm like, which of these, you had to pick a major.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to be a teacher but I could be a great attorney. I know I'm really good in sales, like marketing. Business entrepreneur. I could do all of these things. And I really couldn't even pick a major. And I'm like, I just want to do it all. It just didn't feel fair to just put myself in like one category.
One box. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I did some searching, and a friend of mine, I remember standing in the kitchen. He was like, "Have you ever thought about real estate?" And I was like, "Well, like, what is that? What do you do?" It's actually one of my good friends' brother-in-law. He's much older. I was like, "What do you do?" And so I kind of started to research the career, and I was like, "Oh my God," it's just like a light bulb went off. It like clicked. I was like, I literally can do everything. And even the more I got into it, I realized it was just like, oh my God, this is everything I ever want to do. I could do all of it. Like you could be dealing with the legal stuff, and you're dealing with public relations, and you can deal with marketing and, all of the things. And so I really felt like I found it very early on. This is what I'm meant to do. And so that's really where I got my start, what drew me to real estate.
It's funny when you first started saying that, I was like, when you said you wanted to be a teacher, you wanted to be a lawyer, you wanted to do, and I was like, all of these things, therapist, that is definitely part of, like all of those things are
like being like an actual like doctor, the architectural side of things, the interior design side of things, what do you not get to do in real estate?
That is really all that. Like that.
You want to be in tech? You're in tech. I'm like SEO, PPC. I got the follow-up boss, and I got the zaps and the this. Like, who thought that we would have to know as much that we have to in all the different kind of like fields and industries. So I'm never bored. Yeah. I guess maybe it's a little bit of the ADD in me, a little hyperactive. I cannot just do one like monotonous thing, like do the same monotonous thing over and over. And I love people. And so God, like what a perfect career for me.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. So you're 20 years old, you got your license. And now, how did you start out? Did you have someone, like, was this guy that you knew, was he in real estate, so he kind of took you under his wing? Like, how did all of that work?
No. So that was a that was a friend's brother. They lived in California. I was there for a visit. We were just chit-chatting and came home. So I came home. I decided to get my real estate license and hung my license with a franchise brand. And, was so young. It was really hard to get a start,
Yeah.
to convince me, like, I'm a baby. Like, have you ever bought a home before? I'm like, no, like, I have no clue what I'm doing, to be honest. And so I had a couple of sales, just like a friend's mom and things like that. And then I was offered a position to do on-site sales in a golf course community. And they were paying a salary. It was kind of like a salary plus a draw. And I was like, I'm at that time, I think I was 21, 22 years old. I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to this golf course development. I did that for a couple of years, and I'm so grateful for that experience. While it wasn't really that fun at times, because it was, it was like 8 days a week. It was a lot. I was driving an hour there, an hour home. All the things that I just explained to you, what was so exciting about getting to real estate, like I was just like that W-2 employee basically.
Yeah.
And, but it was like real estate boot camp. I mean, I was riding along with the developer would like, all right, I'm coming in, I'm driving up, like, come out to my car. Who's your next 5 purchase agreements? Tell me about them. Like all just really drilling me on, being able to identify who's a real buyer, who's a real seller, and things like that. And so we had every kind of property there. We had like garden homes and townhomes and luxury gated community. Is a very, very big community. We had like people from 48 different states, 7 different countries. We did pre-solds and building deals. And so when I say it was like real estate boot camp, I could have been in the real estate field solo for 10 years and not gotten the experience that I did in that 2 years time working like alongside that developer.
Yeah.
And so I think that really gave me the notch in my belt, the confidence, the experience, and everything that I needed. And so when I left there, now we're talking about 06 is when I chose to go with the big franchise brand. And like, all right, I'm ready to do my own thing.
So that's some crazy timing, because we know what happened 2 years later. So what was those first 2 years like at the, big box brand? And then how did you transition into like the whole mortgage crisis?
Yeah. So when I left the on-site sales position, getting paid a salary, I actually like quit I quit that full-time job, and I was buying a house. I don't know if it was 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after, but I remember it was like back then it was like stated doc loans. I didn't tell them that I didn't have a job anymore.
Yeah. But you can get away with that then.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you can get away with it. Hence 2008. Anyway, I did fine through 2008. I had any foreclosures. I always paid my bills. But anyway, so I buy this house, and so my back's against the wall. I'm like, I showed the house to my dad, and he's like, I'm like, what do you think about my new house, Dad? Here I am, like, what am I, 22? Like, I have a mortgage now, no job. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm going to sell real estate, And I was like, what do you think about my house, Dad? Isn't it cute? And he's like, what do I think about it? And he was driving away backing out the driveway. His window was down. He's like, I don't think you can afford it. I was like, oh, so I'm like, well, I'm going to prove him wrong. And so my first full year, as a kind of a solo agent in the real independent world out there, I did 6 figures.
Wow.
And I did that. So you got to remember, this is before social media was a thing, really. Maybe MySpace was a thing, but that, okay. There were no text message, no text message. We were still, I mean, you had very, very little tech at the time, and no smartphones. I had like a Nokia analog phone. I mean, it was
with like the little,
so you have to taking yourself back to those times. Like, how am I going to get this business off the ground? And do you know what I did? I drove around my town and I called for sale by owners. I found a builder he was on a billboard, and it was just his name and phone number. I was like, I don't see an agent. Why not? So I called him. I'm like, hey, I saw your billboard, and this is me, and this is what I do. And I sold on-site sales for a long time. And do you have a realtor? And what are you selling? And I mean, he listed houses with me. I had for sale by owners that listed houses with me. And I just wanted to do such a great job that they would refer their friends and family. I was always a student trying to learn this business from the standpoint of what is going to keep me in this business. Not just how can I get the sale today, but like, how can I really grow in this business and stick around for years to come?
Yep.
And so it was a repeat referral business. I'd hit the ground running, and I worked really, really hard. I worked 8 days a week, doing my thing, but I was really passionate about it. I was having a lot of fun doing it.
And
So
you had that why, because you had not only like that little bit of motivation from your dad,
a
which
mortgage.
I
Yeah.
mean, that probably is exactly why he said that to you too, because he knew it would light that little fire underneath you. But yeah, and you had a mortgage that you had to pay. So it probably helped that a little bit. But also I feel like some people are just born with that like hardworking, take no prisoners kind of attitude. And it sounds like that's exactly what you were doing. Just like calling up, like looking for opportunities, not waiting for them to come to you.
Right. No, I didn't wait for my phone to ring. I did everything that I could. And I was in my car. Like sometimes it would be like the entire day. And this again was like before the first owner websites. Like there was no Red X. There was no like, here's a list, call these people. I'm like looking for the little red and white signs. I'm like, oh, there's one way down the street. Be like, like driving down. I'm like calling them, getting hung up on, this might have a real estate agent,
Yeah.
But a few people, you have to get, through a few no's to get some yeses. And I did. And then, this guy, I sell his house, dual agent. And then the people behind him, he was telling them how great I was. And so I sold their house and it just, it snowballs.
Yeah.
I actually remember one of those first for sale by owners. I could tell you the address. It was that long ago. And so it was on Outback Road, way out. Anyway, so I could always see how one thing led to the next. Now, fast forward, that was the first half of your question, a very long answer to that question, but you asked about 2008.
Yeah.
So I think I remember getting phone calls from my dad. He was like, Britt, how are you doing like in this market and blah, blah, blah. I was like, Dad, I don't know what's going on because I don't watch the news.
Yep.
I don't listen to it. I am all in what I'm doing, serving my clients at the highest level, and people still need to buy and sell. And so, in 2000, what year was it? 2008, I was so busy that I opted to hire an assistant. So in 2009, I hired an assistant. In 2010, my business was up 30% year over year. When everything else, like if I have a chart because I'm such a nerd, I have like this spreadsheet and it's like goes back since to like 2005. That was our year. I don't know if you remember hearing about Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. Anyway, so it goes back Hurricane Katrina year. And year over year over year, I can see every month how many sales there were, every quarter, every year, total number of sales. In 2010, our market in East Baton Rouge had 3,500 home sales. That was the worst year on record. It was worse than 08. It just took that much time, I guess, for it to kind of fall out. And then compared to like our COVID years where we had like 7,200 in a year and just in our parish and we don't have counties. So you guys would know that as a county, but anyway, just in our area, our local kind of hyper local market. And so, but I look back at that, I'm like, wow, I was living under a rock. 2010 was the worst year ever. And my business was up 30%. I'm just like,
but you were living under a rock, but you were also keeping out the noise. So there's something to be said for like, if you were following all of that and really like paying attention to it, it can kind of drown you and make you feel like, okay, I have to pull back, or like mentally it can mess you up. I think that's what's happened with, COVID in the last couple of years for people. People got very like, oh, I have to be careful, instead of just like going and doing your business. You could have done even more than you did the prior years, So I think your blinders were kind of helping you in this situation for sure.
And I think that I take that philosophy to my agents now. I mean, you fast forward many, many years. Now I have a brokerage, right? Now I have the responsibility of kind of like leading and mentoring other agents. Listen, I have Powerhouse with me, not that they need me to lead mentor, but I'm riding alongside. And sometimes they get in a spot or even as a group. And I don't let the negative noise, like people talking about, oh, the market's going down, because I truly believe that what people allow in directly affects their actions.
Yep.
And so if I were to have a meeting with my company and I sit with them on a Tuesday morning and say, hey guys, gosh, it's a really bad year. Sales are down in the market, blah, blah. What is that going to do to the morale?
What is that going for other jobs?
to their energy? Like, what are they going to do when they leave that meeting for the day versus, hey guys, I'm watching the numbers. We're seeing more purchase agreements come in. We're watching the showings uptick. The market's about to take off. It's warming up. I want you there for it. Double down, make your call. Do you know what I mean? And they're like, leave fired up. So I think that what you allow, be careful what you hear, be careful what you say, right? I think that what you allow greatly impacts everything, your psyche, your actions, all of it, your perspective on what it is. As a man thinks, so he is.
Yep.
So I don't want him to think anything other than you're great. You're going to crush it in real estate.
I think I like that.
Yeah.
I think that goes like with almost anything in someone's life. I went through some stuff, over the past year or so where like there was some health struggles that I was going through. And I convinced myself that I was sick, even though I was working through it and got through it. And I'm fine now. Right. But like I was doing the things of a sick person, even though I wasn't technically sick anymore. And then you almost get stuck in that mindset. So it goes for not just like career stuff. It can be like personal things. Like you can be like, oh, I'm not at the top. And you start to convince yourself you're not at your top. Right. And then like, it can just be such a, like that mindset is so important and it can really screw you up. It can really screw you up. So I think
everything, Lindsay.
Yeah,
I think
it affects everything. It affects everything. So, all right. So you start the brokerage in pandemic years, right? So when was that? 2020, 2021?
2020. So we opened in June of 2020.
Were you already planning to do that before the world started to collapse, if you will?
Yes, right. Okay. So it was never really my initial plan, like, oh, I'm going to get my broker's license. It happened because it was January of 2020 and our broker came knocking on the door and was like, hey, we're moving, like physically moving our office location. And I loved my office. I loved it. I had been in that same room since 2009. I had actually spent my personal money. Like the building itself was a little dated. It was kind of like darker colors, very golds and blacks and things like that. And I was like, I just need bright. And so I like painted the walls, asked for forgiveness, not permission. I painted the walls just in my room. And I had these built-ins built because I'm like, everything was just desks. Stuff would end up on the floors. There was no storage. We had a bunch of agents in there. I spent like several $1,000s to build out this office. Here he comes knocking and was like, hey, we're moving. And I'm like, damn, where are we moving and why? And he was like, well, it's leaking downstairs and we'll have to be out by the end of March. And I don't know where we're going. I'm like, wow, that's spring market. And already 2020 was promising to be a great year, right? 2019 was an amazing year for me. Yeah. I was like, wow, you don't know where we're going. And so I kind of sat back a little bit, not a long time, just maybe through the month of January, kind of watching like what their moves are going to be. And I was like, okay, I have to make a decision. What am I going to do?
Yep.
Spoke to my coach and it basically was like, okay, like you're your brand. Right. Yep. I already had this basically organization built under that umbrella. Anyway, I had 2 admins, I had runners, I had videographers. I had this whole entire staff that I was running under that brokerage.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I've got to make an assessment. And actually I'm like, I'm in this room. Like, how much more can I really physically grow? Like more people. I can only get so many people in this room.
Yeah.
And I just decided at that point, I was like, I'm just gonna get my broker's license and broker my own transactions. I wasn't even going to be a broker to be like open a firm and hire agents. It wasn't really my business model at the time. I just was like, I'm just going to do my own thing. And so that's why the firm was like my namesake. It was like, all right, Brittney Pino and Associates. Like associates are all the licensed staff I have.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then pandemic kind of overshadowed that whole move. So they were like moving out and I'm like, I'm not going with them. And I'm just, kind of put a cover over it. And I was like, I'm done. And so I opened my firm. I went to a May 31st and I was like, I'm out. And then June 1, the doors opened. So
amazing. It was a beautiful space. If I remember seeing pictures. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
So you got to finally put your stamp on it.
Yes. And I have so much space now, like fast forward. So when I moved from REMAX, I leased out the space and it was like 1,300 feet.
Yeah.
And leased it for 3 years. That was another scary move. I mean, I make these moves and it's like, oh, what am I doing? When your back is against the wall, I'm telling you, it just does something to the fire in your belly. It's getting out of your comfort zone. That's where the growth is.
Yep.
I started with 1,300 feet, and I was like, this landlord is such a great tenant. I was like, this landlord's never going to sell this space to me, but I'm going to try. Like, hey, Barry, would you consider selling me this space? But like, I need more space. And I know that you own the suite also next door.
Yeah.
Can I buy that too? And so I can connect them. He did it. He sold it to me. So in August of 23, I bought my space I was leasing, and I bought another 1,900 square feet adjacent.
Yep.
And then last year in 24, we did this huge reconfiguration. Now I have 3,200 square feet of beautiful modern space. I own it.
Yep.
Plenty of room for
Not
all
paying
of
rent.
Yeah, right. Smart.
That's very smart. I love that. So now you've got the brokerage. What is your change in focus at that point? How did you start to bring in some of these other agents? Like, when did that plan change, I guess? Or were they just gravitating to you because they were like, hey, we want to do what you're doing. We want to be a part of it.
Yeah. So I have been through, and we kind of skipped a few years in there. I went through a divorce and, things like that. And so I had to really learn how to, I don't like the word balance, but like find a rhythm where I could be I was a single mom with two little girls and also running my business. And I had to create all this leverage for myself so I'd have time to do all the things and not be burned out.
Yeah.
And so after I'd done it for so long, I mean, we fast forward, by the time I opened the brokerage, I had then been in the business 17 years, and then it's going 18, 19 years. So we're coming up on 5 years this June. So I'm excited about that of opening the brokerage. But, as it evolved, once I opened the brokerage, I did have people come forward. I had agents come forward and it's like, I really want to be a part of what you're doing. And the first guy that did, I had literally no plans to hire agents when I left. Like, I was like, I'm not ready for agents. He followed up consistently for like 3 months. And I was like, okay, well, if he can follow up with me for 3 months like that, he's probably going to be pretty good with clients. And so I was like, what's the harm? Let me just bring in one person. It was kind of the icebreaker for me. He crushed it. And so I was like, oh, okay, I guess we could do this. And so but still very selectively have brought people in. I have not.
Yep.
I'm never going to be the one who's like, recruiter, just bring everybody in, like open the door to everybody. I'm just really particular on like who's in my space, who is
representing your name,
representing our brand. They have to just be on brand. They have to be a certain, a certain caliber of individual, and not just, it's not, it's professionalism, it's attitude. It's, are you likable? Are you honest? Do you have integrity?
Yeah.
I mean, those are all the things. Like, are you coachable? Are you a team player? Do you get along with others? All of those things. I mean, I'm ruthless in that process.
Yeah.
I don't want just anybody here. So
what does that process look like then? So let's say an agent does come to you. Do they have to kind of, go through hoops to win your trust? Or like, is there some kind of interview process that you do with them? Because, there might be people that are listening today that are like, yeah, I want to get in with someone like her. Or maybe it's not you because it's in their market, but maybe it's someone like that. Like, how do they impress them? What do they do to, get to that level?
We really look at everything. We do look at production, but we also look at social media. Please, social media is a huge thing. Yes. What does your profile picture look like? What are you doing for fun? Are you complaining constantly on there? Are you positive? Or how's your marketing? Is your marketing professional? I mean, we just scrub through their social accounts for one, because that is going to be how they're presenting themselves to the market and how they have, like, what is their reputation?
Yep.
And so that's even just the starting point. That's even just get started for me to have a conversation. And then so when I do meet with somebody, I don't like to make a quick decision.
Yeah.
I like to.
You like to date first.
I do. I'm like, I loved meeting you. Can you come to one of our company meetings, like on a Tuesday or something? And so sometimes I'll have them come to meetings and things like that. It is not just like a really fast, it's not a fast process. It's just at our pace, depending, that person and myself, just kind of when it really feels right. And so sometimes it doesn't feel right. Sometimes it's not a fit, and I'll let them know that, or maybe they'll let me know that, or whatever. And it's great. We're not for everybody, and everybody's not for us.
Yep.
But we love, I can tell you, like the community that's been built here, the people, I am so proud of it. Like, I look around, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, these people love each other. They're supportive. They're abundant. positive. There's no, like, there's no toxicity. It's just, it's very, it's a light and airy feeling. People are laughing and it's just no drama, and we don't do drama. So
I like
I
it.
love it. I love what we
Yeah.
built here, Lindsay. It's great.
That's
And still, I mean, we're in the beginning, we're growing.
Yeah. So, I mean, 74% year over year growth. That's pretty impressive. So,
Yes.
what is that attributed to, other than the fact that you guys are all working together so well? What other things would you attribute to that growth? Is it, mainly your marketing? Is it that you've doubled down on leads? Is it that you've, put new training into place? Like, what are the things that you would, say is the root cause of that?
Yeah. So I think that it's the people that we have here. Over the previous years before that, we did some culling, trimming off people that just weren't a fit or weren't really showing up, and then making sure that we were continuing to partner with people, like-minded agents. And also, I feel like I changed a little bit in the messaging. Anything other than just what I want to do is highlight the behaviors or the positive actions and things that we wanted to see more of. And so I think when people get that acknowledgement and that affirmation, it fuels them to go, fuels them to go more, versus on the contrary, right? To say, well, you're not calling enough people. Why are you not selling enough houses? Or
Yeah.
browbeating
Focus
anyone.
on the positive. Yeah.
Yeah, we just really focus on what you are doing right, or who is doing the right things, and celebrating and highlighting them. We've done things like $1 million lunches. We have quarterly levels. We do some monthly challenges and things like that. And then our company meetings are very, very collaborative. And so I think just having that too, there's been so many properties where they're selling like off market with each other. Like, I have a listing coming up. Oh my God, I have a buyer for that. And then they like run off and like literally go write a purchase agreement. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, it just happened again. I think we've got one that's being accepted today. Maybe she's like, this is crazy. We have an agent that just joined, and she's like, it's pretty cool. My first PINO deal. I'm about to list a house, and they already showed it, and we're about to get an offer. It's going live today, but it's already going to be under contract.
Yeah.
And so I think just the synergy of the people, the organization, the positive environment that we have, I think it is a lot of an environment. We have our new office. It's just, everything is just moving in the right direction. I think that just, with the blinders and all of that coming to a head, I think allowed us to have that great year. And we're already ahead of last year right now. So first quarter, we're blowing it out of the water. So
amazing. Well, the only thing that you didn't mention right then was yourself.
Oh.
And I mean, at the end of the day, you're leading the charge here. So, I mean, you got to give yourself some credit too, that, they're leading from, you're leading from example, and they're seeing what you bring to the table, and they're emulating that. So, I mean, a lot of it comes down to your leadership, So you should be really proud, because this is a really great place to be. It's easy to grow a company. It's easy to do all these things. I mean, it's not easy, but it's people have started these businesses, but to have a successful culture and to have it follow with actual like sales success too, that's very difficult to do. So congratulations on all of that. I think that that's amazing. What's the change in your marketing that you've seen since now you went from being an individual agent to now being, a brokerage model? How do you guys do your marketing? Do you have people in house? Do you are you all kind of involved in it? Like, what's the marketing focus?
Yeah. So we do have a videographer that works on staff exclusively for our firm. I really think that the video is a really strong piece that we do. Yeah. We also are really particular on the cohesiveness of our marketing. And so we make sure that, every time we post a photo, like those are branded, but it's branded in a certain way where it's like the transparent logo. It's not, we want something that looks very professional and high level. So anything that we do put out, we want it cohesive with our branding, but something that looks, like I said, very professional. Elevated, and so we really try to make sure that we're everywhere. Like our signs are a certain look, they're everywhere. And so we just keep doing, like, I feel like we're just getting louder and louder and louder. We've got agents who are being celebrated on the cover of Real Producers, and we've got, all these, they're interviewed by media or anything like that. we just make it loud. And so I think it's hard for people to get away from what we're doing. Agent acknowledgements are huge. Like my agents are having a killer month. Like, oh my God, so-and-so just put 3.8 million pending. In our market, our average sale price is like 320.
Yeah.
And so when an agent in our local market has like $3 million pending, I mean, we're constantly pumping it out. One of my favorite features about our company, sometimes it could be overlooked. It doesn't even sound like that's a big deal, but we have a company Dropbox. And so all the agents have access to it, and our ops team keeps it up to date, basically almost in real time. And one of the folders in that company Dropbox is like active listings.
Yeah.
And so every single one of these listings has like the whole catalog, like the video and the reels and the vertical shots and professional photos, some night shots, the description of their property, and they can grab and drop onto their socials at any time. It doesn't matter if it's their listing or not. It's like you have permission from the broker. It's the brokerage's listing for you to drop and share. And so that's going everywhere. It's that much exposure for the seller, that much exposure for that agent because they're constantly putting out content. It's that much exposure for the brand because everything that they're putting out is branded.
Yep.
And so in that folder, there's so many other things in there, but they have access to that. It just makes it easy for them to not have to reinvent the wheel. And you don't have agents like 27 agents all going on their 27 different Canva accounts and creating their own what they think is good marketing and trying to. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
So we are doing that.
You said that and you could see the cringe in my face.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want you doing that. I want you focused on the revenue generating activity. I want you focused on working with buyers and sellers, just showing property, listing houses, negotiating contracts, going to closings and all that other stuff. Like we've got it.
Yep.
And so I really think that, that those all, like I said, it's not just one thing. It's all the little things that I think that we're doing that makes the big impact over time.
I love it. So what are your goals? What are your goals for the coming years? I mean, you're about to hit 5 years. That's a big milestone. Are we having a party this summer?
Oh, I haven't planned a party, but I'm excited about 5 years coming up. Yeah. My goals are to remain consistent. And, we've just been on this very steady trajectory. There's not like an overnight success. No. I'm not trying to like do something really fast. I don't want to break anything. It's just continuing to do consistently what has worked and just to keep doing that, mastering the mundane, not giving up, not letting up, continue to be loud, just keep going and continue to look for those agents in the market who are like-minded, who are very on brand for us and bringing them over just one at a time. If I can get 5 to 8 more heavy hitters this year, I'd be so happy. Like, cool. I mean, even if we didn't have any, I love the group that we have. It's just, but of course the entrepreneur spirit in you is like, you can't just sit still. What next, more. But we did, and actually launch in the next week. I'm actually going this week to leading real estate companies of the world. We just got it.
Good.
We just got approved. So I was like, Anthony, awesome. I'll be there. So that's another little piece. Like we're so excited to be in that network. We're going to be launching that. We're local, we're global. The training and that's so high level. Oh my gosh. We did the luxury division. I'm so pumped. You
are going to love the conference. You're going to love the people there. You'll feel like it's very similar to the way that you were describing your own. Like it just feels like a family because everyone within Leading RE is so driven because like you're invite only. I don't know if people are listening and you don't know how this works. Leading RE is for brokerages that are independent so that they have that big network, but it's invitation only. So unlike some of those big box, brokerages where you could just end up with any old agent in any market when you have a referral to a different market, like with Leading RE, you're going to the best of the best within each market. And to be invited to be a part of that is such a huge like honor. We felt the same way when we got in. We were like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And it's really, it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. So congratulations to you guys. That's awesome. And I feel like that's great for us too, because now we can all like partner and share too, even more than we already do.
I love it. So it's all the little things. I just feel like so many exciting things are happening, great. And I'm here for it and I'm just going to keep doing it and keep showing up, for my people. And, a big thing for me, I think too, is just over the last several years is just trying to learn how to be a great leader.
Yeah.
It took me a long time. I mean, I started hiring my first assistant, I want to say 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I probably wasn't a great leader back then. I ran through a few assistants, like we tend to run them off, kind of burn them out really easily. And so over the years, I've gotten a lot better. And so I think that's a big passion of mine, is just trying to be that great leader. It's really rewarding whenever you get someone in. Like I had a brand new agent join, and see that agent go from like, I don't know if real estate's going to be for me or not, even hitting a wall, to then outselling a lot of veteran agents in our market. In our market, he did his very first full year with us, he did 9.2 million. And so that's huge in our market. And he's my rookie of the year.
I love that.
Amazing. But just, watching the agent succeed, I feel like it's my success. Like I tie my success directly to this. I'm like, if you're succeeding, like if you're not winning, then I feel like I'm not winning, because like that reflects on me.
Yeah.
And so it's just really fun, being in this role and riding alongside these powerhouses that allow me to do that,
Well, you're also the powerhouse. I think I said that in your intro. So, they're riding alongside you as well. So, Brittney, this was amazing. We are at time, which was shocking. I looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're already over 30 minutes. So I just want to say thank you so much for doing this today. I have wanted to talk to you for a long time. It's funny. I had reached out to John, like, I don't know, probably a year and a half ago. And I was like, hey, who should we get to the podcast? He's like, what about Britt? And I was like, oh my God, why did I think of this? So, and then I think we had talked at that point, but like, we just didn't make anything happen. So I'm just so glad that we finally got to do this today. It has been an absolute joy. I've learned even more about your business than I knew, and I've known you for quite a few years now. So I think that our audience really walked away with a lot of great feedback. So in closing, is there any like advice that you want to give to the audience? Like what's your biggest piece of advice that you give to agents out there?
I think that this business can be really lonely. And I think that a lot of agents struggle with that and mindset. And I think that if you're finding yourself in a spot, a lot of times it's your environment that can really make the difference. The people that you're around, not giving up, being consistent, showing up for yourself, but not shrinking back. Don't shrink back and let that stuff get to you. Or, if that mindset, if you feel like you're in a spot, like seek a mentor. Whether you need a coach, whether you need to be a change in environment, like as a company, I'm not saying hop companies, but maybe you just need to grab hold of somebody who has been there and done that, and see if they can help you kind of lead you out of the woods if you're ever in a spot. But it doesn't matter what level you're at either. I don't care if you're a $5 million, 1, 20, 30, like we all need a mentor and a coach to help us through to get to that next level. Somebody who's been there and done that. So that would be my advice.
It pushes you out of that comfort zone, because we easily fall into that comfort zone, So that's awesome. Thank you so much, Brittney. This was so amazing. All the continued success to you and to your brokerage, to your agents. And I just can't wait to see what you guys do. Maybe we'll have to do like a year from now and we'll recap and see what this year has brought for you guys. So I'm excited to see.
Sounds good. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thanks so much. And thank you all for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, please give us any kind of testimonial, referral, share this with someone else. We love to get as many realtors listening to this as possible, because there's so much to learn from each other. So please share, please like, please do all the things. And thank you guys all for coming back week after week. We appreciate you. We'll be back in just a few weeks with our next episode. So thanks everybody, and we'll see y'all later.
Thank you for tuning in to the Agents Who Crush It in Real Estate podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it with your friends and colleagues, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. If you're interested in being a guest, email us at info@crushitinre.com. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to crush it in real estate.